Today is still January 1st, 2023. Oh my God. I had to go down to Altman Hospital, drop off something for a client. Heard some guy inside. I'm here to find out. I heard some guy is trying to block anybody from helping her. And I want to find out what's going on. Okay. Well, I dropped off what I had to and I had went out to my car. Well, I started with how I got sick, how I got well. And it was a 4-year span. People scattered. People scattered. Because it was a 4-year span, and it's a medication error. Medical malpractice. Okay? All right. I go down to Maslin, and I get Chinese food. And I sit outside, and I see some of the bad vehicles. And I go on with my statements. People scatter. Somebody yells something off down the parking lot. Well, you need to take care of this. Okay. Or we'll all take care of it. Okay. And everybody's scattered. Okay. I come home and I go to do my laundry at the laundromat. I see one of my neighbors and I go in and I joke around talking with them, and I go back out to my car, and it takes forever to do your laundry at the laundromat. And some guy came in and sat down. I've seen him several times around me. I don't know who he is, but he came in and sat down. I've seen him a couple times. Like I said, I don't know who he is, but I've seen him a couple times. He's not like one of my regular officers. But I seen some guy sit down. I thought, I've seen you a couple times. Could be just coincidence because he didn't say anything. So that could be a coincidence. But I seen some guy around me. So you know what I did? I start talking about Dave. I start talking about that girl and disappearing. And that guy's like, I don't believe they're alive. I said, I don't either. And I said I was going to go up and walk around that property up there, and the guy almost died for it. But because people haven't actually talked to him, I'd be afraid to find their bodies there. And I know they wouldn't drop their bodies there. That'd be stupid. But how did they get to the hospital? I'm sorry. How did they get to the airport to leave for Japan? They left the vehicles behind. Who picked them up and took them to the airport? See what I mean? How did they, and the airport's a good 30, 40 miles. It's not like it's just 10 miles down the highway. It's Ravenna. It's a good 30, 40 miles. Akron or Cleveland. So where would they get to the airport to go to Japan? They didn't have a vehicle. That's weird. Who picked them up? And that's where they're either, I told you, I sent it to the police. I figure they may be hiding this one place. And if they're not there, they need to ping his phone because somebody's texting on Dave's phone and it's not Dave. And I was talking to that guy. He's like, no guy would text that. She makes me feel like a 16-year-old boy. No man wants to feel like a boy. They want to feel like an accomplished man. They don't, and most 16-year-olds are never dated. They're awkward. And I happen to know my ex-husband didn't start dating until he was 17, 18. So why would he want to feel like a 17-year-old virgin that's awkward that still lives at his mom's home. See, people haven't actually thought 16-year-olds are awkward. They haven't got the confidence to really go out and start dating. So that's coming from a girl. Like people around me said, we all realize it's a teenage girl texting him. Somebody has Dave's phone. I don't think those people are alive. That drug cartel has tortured me and publicly tortured me. I have done research on the M13 Florida drug cartel. What they do is when they're human trafficking people, they will have up to 100 people watch 14 people, 14, 15 people at one time that they're keeping publicly captive. Basically, what they will do is they will block any of the local law enforcement for helping them. They will cause all kinds of drama so that people will not reach out and help them. And to the point that they can't get help, and somebody's got them basically openly held captive, and they can't get help to get out of it. And then they get to the point they don't trust any of the police to tap them. And this is how they work. And when they were going in and freeing people, said these people have tried. And because either they pay people off or they tell people not to believe them, and they get in there and they hold up to 15 people, 100 people captive openly so that they can't get law enforcement to help them or anybody else, that the other law enforcement, they don't trust anybody. And they're too scared to say anything to anybody. This is the Florida drug cartel. What they did to me, they do it in Florida. That means they probably got another 13, 14 people that are being publicly held captive, trying to get people not to help them, not to believe them, harass them, stop law enforcement from coming to help them. This is what Florida human traffickers do. Now, we're going to have a talk about Dave and his new wife. Now, he didn't love her. He didn't respect her enough not to buy her. A man doesn't love a woman that he just picked up on a prostitute on a corner to do a sex act so he can get a high. He don't even know her, and he's just using her as an animal to satisfy himself. So him buying this woman online, he didn't respect her enough not to buy her. Her family, this is where I feel bad. Her family didn't even love her enough not to sell her to a stranger in another country that they didn't know if it would be good to her, take care of her, wouldn't beat her, kill her, dismember her, and knew him from nobody, and sold their daughter to a complete stranger that to take out of the country and not care about her welfare. And that's sad. That is sad. Okay? Now that is very sad that they didn't care about that girl at all. And Dave doesn't care. He bought her like a puppy. He didn't respect her enough not to buy her like a prostitute. Her family's selling her like that. And I'll tell you what. If you buy a wife, you got a little 20-year-old wife you're supposed to be keeping for the next, well, your 60s, you probably only got 20 years left. How are you going to afford her? Wait, why wouldn't you want her to have the big $200,000 house? Why wouldn't you want her to have the comforts? And you have a $100,000 paying job, and you can take her on vacations. You can live your life the way you want. You sure as hell wouldn't quit your job and have nothing. And no way to support her. And if he was just trying to get his Social Security, he only is going to get about $1,200 to $1,500. Huh? And that's only enough for a low-income apartment and a cheap car. You got a 20-year-old wife? Why would you want her to have the best of everything. You would. That's why I don't believe they're alive. Because, it'd be one thing if Dave went over and bought her, and that'd still be illegal. He'd have to go to jail for that. And then bring her back here. It's human trafficking, human smuggling. He'd go to jail for that. Yeah, 100% go to jail for that. Can't buy anybody. You can't even buy anybody in Japan. You can go over there and marry one of their women, but it has to be legal through the different countries and then processing them to get them back. But not one dime can exchange hands. Otherwise, it's human trafficking there, and it's illegal. You go to jail in that country. See what I mean? You go to jail in that country. They don't allow selling of their people. What those people did selling her online was against their country's laws, and he can go to jail there for it. See, this is where the whole thing of it is. It's human trafficking. Why would he quit his job? Just even, like some lady said, I'm glad Karen's realizing Dave never really loved her. No, he didn't. He probably just married me because my dad was vice president of that company. And Tim was breaking in church. He was making all those big paychecks. And he was making $80 a week working for John Cowgill. And it was his way out of the ghetto. His way out of the ghetto of getting big money. That's probably why he beat on me our whole marriage. And that's probably, and he never did love his kids. We were a burden that he had to support. He just wanted to make the money and go. Then being in that, and then that church. I don't even believe he loved that church. I don't believe he liked that minister. And they were just people he could manipulate and control. Because he's evil. Now, I'm going to tell you what. I'm going to tell you what. I don't believe they're alive because he's got a 20-year-old wife. Why would he quit his job that he makes $110,000? He has a big $200,000 house for her to live in. And they could afford to have everything. And he had to have his little young wife. Why would he quit his job? To live on Social Security that's only $1,200 to $1,500 a month to have to live in a low-income apartment? You wouldn't do that to a new wife. I told you, I think the cartel I think she was one of those special order girls where they showed up and they were around me and they said they got orders. They want this girl to weigh this much, this one to weigh this much. Like there's a 5'3", 135 blonde girl. Special outfit. They took a 15-year-old kid out of Belden after that. Just like the other ones. And with that girl selling herself online, one of those perverts probably wanted her and sent Dave over to pick her up under the pretenses of marrying her. And when they got back, they'd probably killed him and then took her. And I have told all those agencies, she's an illegal here, an undocumented illegal, and she needs to be found. Her life is at risk. Now, if Dave is not hiding in this one place that I think he is, with her, he's either took off with a cartel and he's selling her, or he's dead, or they're both dead. The reality of that is not him texting that she makes him feel like a 16-year-old boy. Nobody's heard his voice in over 30 days. And for him taking off and talking irrationally when he called my son that he could have his clothes, his guns, his furniture, he's never coming back to the U.S., and he's dropping the dogs off the pound. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Not a word of it. Why wouldn't he sell his vehicle? He could make 5,000 to 7,000. He could sell all his guns, make another 3,000. His reloading equipment. Sell his boat, even if he sold it for $100, $500. The engine's worth more than that. Why wouldn't you make 10 grand real easy and leave? Because they dragged him up and told him, say, you're sleepwalking with roofies. This is where I don't think they're alive. And the cartel cuts people up in pieces. My co-worker, Lori, her family member was taken and they laughed in her face that they dismembered her. M13 has been arrested before for dismembering people. These are the serial killers of the world, the scary, dark people. They took my house manager's niece in daylight, and it was the guy that tried to kidnap me. That is who's running the drug cartel, where they fought it out in front of people. For it's about between two gentlemen, this whole thing. They're drug lords. They're using her as a pawn. They told everybody in 18. Even in Walmart 62, Ravenna, other places. They were yelling the bets out in Navarre across my clients. Their bets are, one could be so cruel to her, he could push her to suicide. The other one said that he could make her give up everything in life and have other people participate. Another bet was no man was to ever want her. Strange actually ordered that one, they said. And they said she is to work for every dime that she has, and then they are to make sure she has nothing afterwards. And those are the orders. And it's a bet between two gentlemen, and winner takes all. And they're using her as a pawn. For we all work for the king from Texas. We are his men. He sent us here. He's a drug lord. Dave hired us. He was a fentanyl king. Iraqi translator for the U.S. military, dark web malware. The other one said we all work for the king. He, now, they said there was two teams, one for me, one for Dave. The other one said they all work for the king. The king said that we are to make sure nothing happens to her when she's out. Yeah, or he'll take care of us. I told you people around me think it's Michael Peterson. Henry Moffey's name came up really fast, and then he tried to get a hold of me through Instagram. He thought I was pretty. They're trying to kill me. You think I'm pretty? Come on now. Found out he's part of the Florida human trafficking gang. As a scam, trying to get a hold of me. And people watch me. Michael Peterson tried to get a hold of me through Farmers. And he, this dating app. And he said he had ties into Trekasami and was trying to embezzle oil here under false pretenses. And I told you I turned him in and that he had dealt with Trekasami before. Trekasami is wanted by our government for $100 million for human trafficking and one of the major drug lords of the world. So where this guy was competing against a fentanyl king from Iraq, he would have to be equivalent to a fentanyl king. People were yelling at people in 21. If you work for Trekasami, you go to jail for it. He would be able to control the M13 drug cartel and the other drug cartels. It had to be somebody rich enough and co-rich enough to organize all the drug cartels to attack 17 and 18 in Ohio, to do all those human traffickers that sold all those children. See, that's where, that's where that agent, when I told that guy he had an eagle tattoo, I didn't know back then that is M13 drug cartel. You have an eagle tattoo or dots around your eyes. That's one of their gang tats. He knew exactly who was threatening me. And they've already confessed in Walmart that Pete and Michelle set me up. They framed me. They've already confessed to photoshopping and washing scene that the drug cartel they're claiming is killed Dave. They've made fun of the FBI for falling for it. They've made fun of everybody for falling for it. They've admitted they drugged me and told me to say stuff. They have admitted that they framed me in front of the police. They admitted that it was just a pawn for people not to tell on them for them drug trading and human trafficking. Several times since 18, they told the police in Walmart 62 and up in Ravenna, and they have even in Navarre last year, they were talking about just the drug lords fighting, and that's where even weird men will show up and remind me of their bats. And they said this, and it's the drug lords controlling the drug dealers to make it happen. Like some girl said, I looked it up. It is documented. This is the drug lord's bats, and we're making it happen. And that is what's going on. Stop. Turn them in. That agent, they said they paid him off, and 100% I believe they did. I told you the way he talked to me online. People up in Hartville on Friday were pissed. We listened to how that agent talked to her. He admitted he had talked to everyone, and he knew they were trying to kill her because of what that guy said about her. And he admitted they let us listen to the recorder line, and nobody found any of it funny. No, I've told you how awful. He admitted he talked to all the church people. He even said he knew they were trying to kill me because of that minister's lie. And then he told me he didn't blame them for trying to kill me. And it was a lie that a minister made up. I had a medication error. Medical malpractice, they call it overcare, where doctors falsely diagnose you, give you the wrong medicine, and it makes you sick and then want to do unnecessary procedures. And they rip off your insurance company, and they call it overcare. And it took another doctor to tell on them, and I almost died after a bunch of surgeries and my muscles locked up. And some minister made it up 6 months or after an accident I had nothing to do with, and 4 months after I got well, of 9 months of working out, after 3.5 years of misery. It took me 4 years from the beginning to end. And that minister making up such a baby lie, a shitty baby lie, a shitty baby lie. I want you to think of that, a shitty baby lie. And that agent saying he didn't blame him for trying to kill me. What'd you expect with you faking you were sick? That they wouldn't try to kill you? I don't blame them. I really was sick. I've had talked to all those church people, and they said they'd try to have you killed because you were faking you were sick while that family was grieving. I can't blame them. But God, listen to the recorded line. I didn't even believe Will was real. I thought he was riffraff. After the way he talked to me on that recorded line, and I googled the office he was at, and I found him. He was very real, because he talked to me like I was a piece of shit. A piece of shit. He was aiding and abetting attempted murder, stalking, and harming me because somebody lied on me. And that some guy named Pete was stalking me and framing me and laughing at me how I didn't know. And he had talked to those church people, and they had been trying to have me murdered. And he was aiding and abetting all those crimes. And he was obstructing justice and then opened a real case with statements and immunity. And he fed me to those drug cartels. Like they said, somebody needs to get an arrest warrant for Will. 100%. He thinks people are stupid. Like they said, he admitted he met with all those people. He talked to them. He even knew why they were trying to kill her. And he didn't arrest them. Nobody found any of this was funny. He can't tell you not to say anything. You don't have that kind of authority. And then on top of it, his stupidity. He confessed he talked to everyone. And he even knew they were trying to kill me for that minister's lies. And that's exactly what they were. It's a documented medication error and documented medical malpractice almost killed me. I'm going to upload this. If you listen to the recorded line, somebody needs to arrest him. He's embezzled over $300,000. I want it to help, like Lori, my one coworker. They dismembered her family member. I want to help her. Her boyfriend died. I want to help my kids and my grandkids. And I'm probably the only grandparent they got left. Because why would Dave quit his job? He just got remarried to a 20-year-old. Why wouldn't he want her to have a house and all the things he could give her, making $100,000 a year? Why would you want to go down to $1,000 a month or $1,500? You wouldn't. See what I mean? You wouldn't. Huh? You wouldn't. You'd want to keep up your lifestyle and provide and show off. You wouldn't. And somebody needs to find that girl. You need to get her back to Japan. And dear God, one picture had children in it. And I'm hoping they're just people for that wedding that showed up. And that they're not hers and they're not with her. Because if so, 4 children under 7 are in trouble. These people torture you and sell videos of it. They dismember you. And then they laugh in your family's faces how you died. They are the scary movie people of this world. And Pete and Michelle setting up that pawn. See, that's where on Friday I walk out of Walmart. People are laughing at FBI agent Will. Nobody even knows what to say to her anymore. Will standing in the middle of that parking lot screaming. He set her up for Dave. It should be December 14, 23, 1407 North Main in Canton, 4:45 p.m. I go through, it's a Thursday, Saturday the 21st. I go through the drive-thru and I try to get a hamburger pull over, start emptying out my car. He walks out and he confesses he set me up for Dave. He stole my money and there's cars everywhere. Most of them are cops and they're slamming on their brakes as this idiot is confessing. He stole my money and set me up for Dave. And that's where they were laughing outside Walmart this last Friday. And said nobody even knows what to say to her. And nobody to say a word. Will knew that those drug lords were using her as a pawn so they could do crimes in front of people and nobody would tell them. Do you know they told people they were giving them hush money? Do you know they were telling people they were buying them everything from tanks of gas to jewelry, clothing? They were buying them TVs. And they said after the 1st of October, everybody started talking and they found out nobody got a dime. They were lying to everyone that they were giving other people money and they were keeping it for themselves. They lied to all these people, thought they would get free, fast money out of hurting victims. And they all showed up and they realized nobody got anything ever. Never got a dime from nobody. And how pathetic they were willing to hurt somebody for money. And nobody got a dime from them. Where even Michelle's like, I'll give you money. She never gave it to him. They lied to all of them. They pawned them. That's where those kids were outside laughing. Will even told us he knew the drug lords were using her as a pawn. And for so they could fight in front of people. Told us all to keep an eye on her. Huh? And that they were just using her as a pawn. Some kind of Ponzi. And that everybody go after her and be mad at her. He even knew that when it first started. And it's cruelty to me. And that she didn't know. And we were to make sure she was okay. And what on earth, him standing in the middle of that parking lot, screaming in front of everybody that he set her up for Dave, and he stole her money, and that was just the drug lords fighting over this area, using her as a pawn, so nobody would tell on him? He even told us that. Yeah. Then, they said, well, did you know he even told people that he talked to everybody? Before he talked to her, he confessed he did. That he talked to everyone before her. And then he tried to tell her she couldn't say anything. He can't do that. He don't got that kind of authority. We all know that. Everybody can't believe what he's spewing out of his mouth. He thinks you're stupid. Turn him in. He's a dirty cop. I've talked to criminal attorneys, prosecutor's office, police departments. He doesn't have the authority to ask someone to stay quiet. He's just a higher officer. He can't bully in false statements either. He thinks you guys are all stupid and won't turn him in. He stole over 300 grand. That's why he's spewing stuff out of his mouth. They said they paid him off. I'm sure they did. Someone needs to find Dave and that girl. And find out who's using Dave's phone. This isn't funny. See, the whole thing of it is, why would Dave quit his good jobs and make all that good money go away? He wouldn't. See, that's where I don't believe they're alive. I think the cartel got him. And everybody I talked to sounds like the cartel got him.